Good morning, good morning. Welcome back to Morning Motivation with Matthew Daniels, and today I'm going to tell you guys about the 7 Deadly Sins Part 2, Gluttony. That's right, the 7 Deadly Sins Part 2, Gluttony. But what is Matthew Daniels talking about? A long time ago, in the 7 Deadly Sins Part 1, the young man, in complete awe and amazement, looked on and said, "All my life I thought that this place was only a myth, yet right before my very eyes, here it is. The Inferno." The young man thought back to the tales that he and all the other villagers were told as children, the cautionary tales about the men and women who dared to commit the 7 deadly sins while they were alive: gluttony, lust, greed, sloth, wrath, envy, and pride. It was said that in the Inferno, the guilty was forced to suffer cruel punishments based on which of the 7 sins that the person had committed. Those guilty of multiple sins were forced to endure multiple punishments. Getting as close as he dared to get, the young man could see that several thousands of the people were being forced through the first door and into a large room. Inside of this room, a large figure, which appeared to be part man, part beast, part fire, and part ice, stood in front of the crowd. "While you were alive," the figure said, "you did all you could to fill your stomachs. You did not care if you had more than your fair share, and you did not care if your actions caused others to starve. Indeed, there have been countless innocents who have traveled through death before all of you because of your deeds, and you will now account for all that you have said and done while upon the earth." Just then, in the very midst of the frightened and sleep-deprived crowd, more figures, similar to the large figure, but closer to the size of a man, began to appear. Their expressionless faces were just as terrifying as the swords dripping with blood which they all held. "You found pleasure on the earth in taking from others to feed your bellies," the large figure began again. "So, by all means, continue to take from others to feed your bellies while you are here." And with that, the young man watched as all of the smaller figures raised their swords in unison in the midst of the crowd and brought them all down quickly. The thousands of men and women all cried out as a piece of their very bodies were cut off. Hands, ears, noses, feet, arms, shoulders, and more all became instantly detached and fell to the floor. The young man fell back as the crowd cried out with such a shrill-sounding noise that it reverberated throughout the entire cave. Rolling over onto his hands and knees, thinking that he might either vomit or faint, the young man dry heaved loudly a few times. The young man looked on as the smaller figures picked up severed body parts and force-fed the tied up and already tortured men and women to pieces and made them eat them. And once all of the body parts had been consumed, the smaller figures cut off yet another piece of them all and fed the pieces to them, no matter how much they protested or fought. Those guilty of gluttony continued this cycle until there was almost nothing left of them to eat, and the next group of thousands were ushered into the room. And so, the morning motivation of today is the 7 Deadly Sins Part 2, Gluttony. For every action, there is a reaction, and for every sin, there is a punishment. Beware of taking more than you need when there are those who are dying due to lack. Enjoy what you have, yes, but do not overdo it. Practice modesty in all things and avoid overindulgence. And remember, you are awesome, you are amazing, you are wonderful, and you are great. And you are going to change the world. I just hope I'm still alive to see it, family. I'm out. Good morning.